Hey there, traveler. Guess what I'm doing right now?
I don't know. You could be doing a few things, like admiring your car collection?
Nah, that was yesterday. Got bored of them after the 5th one. Come on, guess. What am I doing right now?
Eating Buddha chips, drinking PhD pepper, figuring out how to build that space station?
Traveler, you asked too many questions. Give me an answer. Come on. You laid in bed, wondering what on earth, or in the scope of the universe, was 707 talking about. Being left in a room alone wasn't the most ideal scenario, but due to the current circumstances, you needed to satiate the creeping boredom that was beginning to settle in. And to your luck, he had the same idea.
Are you waiting for a pizza delivery?
Ding 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 ding! Correct, my most studious pupil. I'm sitting here bored waiting for my delicious food and I'm starving.
You should have ordered before the dinner rush then.
You chuckled, learning that 707 tended to do things either spontaneously, out of sorts, or pretty late. For someone you found so engaging and very bright, he procrastinated quite a bit. His attention would dart from one topic to another, and he would often keep you on your toes. You smiled at the responses he gave, whether they sounded childish or not. Oh, but that's no fun. I'm just counting down the time. If they are even a second late than they predicted, I'll get the pizza for free. It's a race against the clock. You couldn't help but chuckle into the pillow on your bed while you whiled away your time conversing with this madman. It had been 3 months talking with all of the users on this messenger app. 3 months of colorful conversation, but 707 caught your attention the most. He was eccentric, to say the least, but he was also full of fun, intrigue, and a whole lot of nonsense. He made you laugh at the best of times, and cheered you up at the worst of times. And even though you felt a sense of loneliness, chatting with him brightened your day. Your messages pinged back and forth. It seemed that 707 was the only one active at this hour, but you expected as much. It was close to dinner, and the others may be enjoying their evenings wherever they may be. The conversation went from waiting for dinner, asking about dinner, checking if you ate, still waiting for dinner until... they only have a minute left. Well, free pizza for me tonight.
Hey, you don't know that.
I am all-knowing. Did you know that? They won't reach these doors in 42 seconds. You sighed with a crooked smile, punching in your message with both a curiosity and a playful undertone.
Counting down to 707's free pizza night.
Exactly. You know it, and I know it. The chat had gotten quiet. Well, according to his timing, the delivery guy may have had 10 seconds left. Perhaps he was waiting at the door. You could see him count down while looking at his watch, or phone, or whatever he may use to count the time, watching through the door for any sign of life with his meal. It brought a smile to your lips thinking about it. He seemed the type of person to... Pizza arrived! Late by 23 seconds! Free pizza for me!
Congratulations.
Thank you! Thank you. I'm so proud.
I guess enjoy your free dinner.
Then silence, before you watch the typical typing sign below the screen. It stayed like this for a while. You wondered what he was writing until... Hey, traveler. Any way we could talk? Now that the more important things are out of the way.
Your pizza is more important?
Hey, hacking is a full-time job. Ya boys gotta eat. It was then, while you typed your response, you stopped, rereading his request. He wanted to talk? As in via phone call? This was a first. It had only been messaging throughout the day, depending on who was online and available, of course, but talking? You've always imagined what he sounded like. Had this image of him in your mind, despite all of the emojis he would spam on the chat room at times. But to listen to his voice...
Okay, sure. Give me a buzz.
You stared at the phone screen for a while. Did you just agree to a phone call? Even so, the thought crossed your mind on how would he call if he didn't have your number to reach you. Your reply on chats was purely out of mild amusement, waiting on his response. The room was silent, while your anticipation slowly grew in the pit of your stomach. Thank goodness you ate already, or else you'd feel ill. You wondered if he was indulging in his free dinner. Well, you assumed it was free by the way he responded in the chat. Knowing him for the time being, he could have talked his way into a free pizza. Or maybe he had other important matters to deal with. You found him dropping in and out of conversation a lot while you... You almost dropped your phone from the sudden ringing, clumsily grabbing it back between your fingers while the phone continued to vibrate. The phone screen illuminated with the name 707 across it. It came from the Messenger app. It made calls to... Why didn't you know this sooner? You hesitated to accept the call, but the ringtone continued to blare, not letting up. With a deep breath, you accepted the call. But before you could say a word...
Hey, hello there. I finally get to talk with you. Am I your first?
That was sudden, abrupt, and very forward. Nothing less, you thought.
I guess you are.
You replied. A loud, gleeful cry yelled from the other side of the phone, so far as to bring your ear away from the speaker.
Yes! 707 strikes the heart and wins!
He bellowed, with giddiness and excitement.
Don't mind me. I'm just excited to talk with you for the first time, too.
So this is what the elusive 707 sounds like?
You asked, intrigued.
Why, yes. Do I meet your expectations? Have I enamored you with the sound of my angelic voice?
Angelic? I pictured you as the cheeky devil type.
You questioned, with a quirked brow and a crooked smile.
Ah, you think me the devil, huh? Nothing wrong with that. I can be sneaky and devilish in my own little way, but I only do it for the greater good.
He crooned, his voice laced with a slight snarkiness, and yet a playfulness as well.
Well, it fits your name, Lucille, well.
You murmured while you laid on your bed.
An angel in disguise?
Choo.
He hummed, while you cradled the phone to your ear, a cheeky smile curling on your lips. You felt your heart race just a little listening to his voice, imagining him speaking to you as if you were face to face. Now you could attach this voice to all of the emojis that popped up in the chat room every so often. It suited him, in a way, you thought to yourself, while the both of you whiled away the time conversing over the phone. He was as energetic as his texts.
Traveler?
He spoke softly, taking you off guard after a good run of his loud and boisterous voice.
If you tell me a secret, I'll tell you one of mine.
I don't normally have secrets.
You replied, hearing a low chuckle on the other end.
That just proves that you unusually have some. Everyone has secrets. I've never met one person without any.
He did prove a point. Everyone had secrets. For you, it was probably the fact that you were in a place that you had made yourself comfortable in for a while now, having been invited to stay, if only for a short while, at this undisclosed location. It sounded weird to you that you were hand-chosen from the street the way it happened. But if staying in a comfortable, lush room was the reward for some duties, who were you to question? For now, at least.
I feel like after 3 months, you should learn my real name.
Chirped 707, taking you away from your train of thought and back into the present.
That's my little secret.
Of course, you had learnt about his chat room name, and his other name, Lucille, that a few of the members in the chat room called him by. But he had one more.
What are you? A spy too?
You questioned, slightly skeptical.
If you want me to be.
He replied with what you could gather was a cheeky grin on his side of the phone call.
But Miss Vanderwood wouldn't want that.
Huh. Sometimes I can't keep up with the amount of name dropping you pull. In and out of chat now.
A gleeful chuckle echoed on the line, which despite the sudden rush of information, you couldn't help but smile. There was some rustling until his voice perked up again, catching your attention again while you laid on the soft pillows of your bed.
Well, the life I lead is a busy one.
He explained.
I have to be on top of things all the time. Sometimes it just gets so tiring. So that's why Buddha chips, PhD pepper, and the occasional pizza are my only solace.
Well, you want a secret for a secret?
You asked, hesitantly, hearing an affirming hum from 707 on the phone. You were told your location was not meant to be revealed while you stayed, and even if you wanted to tell anyone, you didn't even know where you were. The more you thought about it, the more you wondered about every time you asked, with no results or answers. You sighed, returning your ear to the phone call.
I don't have one on me,
You admitted. 707 tisked on the other line. You could hear a slight disappointing and disapproving tone in it.
Well then, maybe you are not worthy of learning my name.
He teased.
I was being fair and just, mere mortal.
You choked a slight giggle, but couldn't help but erupt from his response. He chuckled alongside you, continuing to tease and yet dote on your quips and statements. This went on for some time. While 707 was being entertaining and entertained by the conversation and your presence, you were just as easily amused by his reactions and his slightly overdramatic way of approaching topics of conversation. It wasn't long until you realized that hours had passed, finding the time on your phone, and the battery life it had left to add on top of that.
I guess we should cap it for the night.
You suggested.
Shall we reconvene another time?
What? So soon?
Whined 707.
I haven't even reached the pinnacle moment where I almost grabbed the most precious treasure for my own.
Loving your friend's cat doesn't override the fact that you were going to steal her away.
Elizabeth III is a treasure, and she deserves to be loved and cherished like the little sweetie she is. With me!
Well, I'll hear more about it next time you call.
Your voice trailed off with uncertainty. After all, this was your first phone call with him, and you had no way of contacting him back on this app.
You can count on it.
He mused.
But it could be first thing in the morning, where I'll discover if you had the proper amount of sleep through the app's internal readings of your sleep patterns.
Does it read how many REM cycles I get?
Absolutely.
You laughed once again. Somehow you understood his boisterous and joking attitude, and you didn't admit it to yourself, but joining in on his fun made chat rooms lively, especially when some friends believed in his nonsense.
Well, you should be able to grab some cycles if you drift to sleep in the next half hour.
He motioned, the sound of his voice calmer.
But before you leave, I would like to give you a goodnight kiss from space.
You felt your heart warm at the sound of that, smiling to yourself.
I accept your gift.
707 chuckled before you heard him play off a dramatic smooch over the phone, causing your smile to widen into a grin. With that, the both of you hung up your phones before you curled yourself in bed, placing the phone on the bedside table nearby. "707 sat alone in his large room, staring off at the number of computer screens that were his only source of light, illuminating the number of cans and his now stale pizza on the desk. He held his phone close to him, leaning the glass of it against his lips while he contemplated. Just hanging up the phone brought about the silence again, and he wasn't in the mood to continue the work before him. He didn't want to admit it to himself. He felt conflicted over the course of the months learning about you and your quirks, your personality, and now your voice and your laugh. He pressed his lips against the cold glass of his phone, the touch warming up slowly as his breath washed over it. How he wished that his lips could reach you through the glass, through the phone, and onto yours every time you spoke. He was so close to admitting his reason to call you. His name was one thing he had in mind, before at the very last minute he breathed a sigh of relief when you didn't go along with his little game. But he knew throughout his vast knowledge that today was International Kiss Day, and that was the real reason he decided to jump online when he noticed your name pop up on screen. He grimaced against his phone, still holding it by his lips before a deep exhale escaped him. My name is Saeyoung, and I think I love you, traveler.